the glimmer of hope for us is, I believe there are a growing number of people who are interested in good food.
I agree.
And the growing number of people that are interested in good food generally have an understanding that good food is not cheap, and it's probably not going to come from the large container stores.
Agree.
Good food.
Right. Hey, y'all. Put on your boots, grab your headphones, and let's get a little muddy.
As we build a community rooted in the love of dirt roads, whether dust or mud.
Welcome to the Dust or Mud Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Dust or Mud Podcast. I'm Shelley McGlamory.
I'm Rich. Hello.
Hi. Here we are again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been a good week.
Yeah, it has.
Nice weather today.
Oh, man,
Amazing.
The weather's beautiful.
Yeah.
It finally cooled off. We had a little bit of a rain shower between the hot and the cooler weather. Grass loved that. Not a whole lot of rain, but enough to give the grass a bit of a drink. But, man, does it feel better. This morning it was in the 50s.
I know. That was so good. I'm not ready for cold, but I'm ready for a break.
Yeah.
Big time.
Felt really nice.
Yeah, it did. I think all week it's going to be like that. So I'll enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah. 105 is not fun.
No,
okay.
Not at all.
Not to anybody, especially not the animals.
No.
Yeah. So what's going on?
Well, recap from last week.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about poultry.
Yeah, the chickens. Actually, our chickens, speaking of chickens, some of our, the ones in the brooder, the beef chickens that are 4 weeks old almost this week.
Yep.
They're ready to go.
Yeah, they're ready to go out onto
Outside.
pasture.
Yeah. They're nice and toughened up. They haven't had any heat in a while. So they're able to withstand the cold.
Yeah.
If it does get down at night. So we can get them out on pasture eating some grass.
Yeah, that's right.
Living outside.
Yep. So if you missed last week, we talked about all of our different poultry.
Yeah.
And then potentially things that we might do a little bit different next year. And then I think we got the most comments on the current event. Nobody really cared about the poultry, it didn't seem like, but everybody did care a bit about
our fat military.
Obesity in the military is according to a body mass index perspective.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. It's always interesting to see what you're going to bring to the table with our current events.
Yeah. You ready for today?
Yeah.
Not time yet.
Oh, not yet. That's a fun one, though. I like that part. Okay. Well, how about a farm update?
Okay. So we just talked about the beef chicks are getting ready to move out onto pasture.
Yeah.
Probably biggest thing on the farm is we took another steer to the processor on Monday.
Yeah.
So we're about 3 weeks out from having steaks again in the freezer for sale.
Yep. More burgers?
Yeah, lots more burgers. This one was a bit bigger, so we were able to get some roasts and short ribs and different cuts out of this one. So excited to be able to offer that to folks again here in about 3 weeks.
Yeah. Bigger steaks this time. This guy was bigger, so the cuts are going to be bigger.
That's right.
I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, it does.
Good. And what tomorrow we're going to start bringing in the winter hay.
Yeah, hay's expensive. Boy, howdy. Yeah. Fertilizer prices went up. I mean, not blaming the hay folks. It just is expensive this year. So happy to be able to secure hay that we need to get us through the winter.
Locally.
Rather
local.
Which is cool. Our animals, we've been training them for 2 years now to survive on our grass. And we imported some hay last year, supposed to be really high quality, good hay. And the cows liked it okay. The sheep didn't like it at all. And we had paid quite a bit of money to get this good hay for the sheep, and they didn't really like it. So we're excited to get just some local hay. I think it's going to do the animals really well, get us through the winter.
But it'll take you a couple days to haul it in because our trailer doesn't carry.
Yeah, we're able to carry 10 of the big round bales. Yeah. And we're going to pick up 100 bales. So it's going to take us a while. Yeah. Dad may be able to haul some of it, borrow a trailer and haul some as well. So
that'll be super helpful.
Yeah, somewhere, at least 10 trips, maybe down to 6 or so.
Yeah, well, when you're driving 45 minutes and then it takes, how long does it take to put them on there? Last time?
it takes probably 15, 20 minutes to get them on, and
Yeah.
then another 15 or 20 minutes to get everything strapped down.
So you're probably looking at almost 2 hours round trip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's better. Last year we drove all the way to Springfield to
Yeah.
get them. So that was just drive time was an hour and 15 minutes each way, plus all of that other time. So I think it's going to work out a little better for us this year.
Yeah.
I may do it a little different when I get here. Last year I carefully stacked each bale as I was unloading it. This year I may just sort of toss it off
And go.
and
sort later.
and then stack it carefully on top of pallets. We put it on top of pallets to keep it off of the ground so it doesn't rot.
And
we
that
have some
worked really good.
Some really heavy duty pallets. So we'll probably just throw the bales off of the trailer as soon as we get here and get them all moved here.
Yeah.
And then line up the pallets and take the time to stack it carefully.
And you won't be by yourself. We were off on vacation last year having fun on the beach. And
that's true.
Had to get after it.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
I did feel bad a little bit.
No, you didn't. I know better. And then our once-a-day milking is still being really, really good.
Yeah.
I know we were a bit concerned with it, with how the cows were going to transition. We were concerned with, are we going to be dealing with mastitis or not?
Right.
Are they going to freak out? They seem to have relaxed. If you remember, we cut their food back as we were starting this transition.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to bump their feed up just a little bit slowly now to where we're getting about 2/3 of what we were getting before, which is about what we expected. We expected the production to drop somewhere 20 to 30%, and that's what it has done. So it dropped about 50% initially, which is good as we were transitioning their bodies, and then we've slowly been able to build it back up.
So in easy numbers, we're bringing in right at a little bit over 4 gallons a day in the mornings
instead of 6.
Yeah, which is plenty.
Yeah,
for what for the amount of customers that we have. The only reason we have milk customers in the first place is because we have too much milk, and other people want it.
Yeah, so like right before we switched them to once-a-day milking, we also weaned the lambs that were drinking 2 gallons a day.
So now we had an absolute abundance.
Yeah, net in our refrigerator, it really hasn't changed because the lambs were drinking 2 gallons a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're bringing in 2 gallons a day less, and the lambs aren't drinking any. So
we're able to make lots of yogurt, lots of cheeses, sell some to wanting customers, and in the event that we have just way too much, we do have pigs, and we can give them extra treat.
Yeah, and the milk,
they don't like milk at all.
Oh, the milk is really good.
It's so good for them.
We have an episode planned in the future where we'll go through the benefits of A2A2 milk and some of the properties of that. And
they love the whey from the cheese.
Oh yeah, the pigs do. Yeah.
So the milk is a huge additive to the farm.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But a huge thing to only milk once a day to get our evenings back. Having the kids do some of our evening chores, so that come 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, we're kind of done.
Well, we can focus on
dinner,
cooking.
I don't know, cooking food,
eating
for ourselves.
Yeah.
So often we found ourselves not eating very good food because we were so busy and kind of lost sight and focus of the real reason we're doing it, which is good food for us. And we're, eating cheese and pork rinds because we're busy.
Right.
Taking care of everybody else. Refocus.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. We live in the Ozarks.
We do.
In the southwestern portion of Missouri.
Ozark County. Yeah.
Which we've discussed before. The Ozarks. Let's get into some of the uniqueness about the Ozarks. The people, the landscape, and what it has meant to us, how it has changed us positively. I don't know that there's a negatively.
I can't think of one offhand.
No, I might come up with one.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to it in conversation.
Yeah, maybe. And just the aspects of the way of life here and how it has affected us and how we have assimilated into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, we are in Ozark County
Mm-hmm.
in Missouri.
Yeah.
It's one of the least populated counties. What is it? Just over 8,600 people in the entire county.
In the whole county.
Yeah, with 745 square miles of space in the county. So that gives us a population density of 11.5 people per square mile.
Per square mile. So if in the event that a person was looking for, I don't know, neighbors that are really far away, this is a pretty good county to be in.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of cows and a lot of land, but very minimal people.
Yeah, over half of the county is farmland.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. I really have come to enjoy the county. We didn't know exactly what we were getting into when we found this piece of property.
No
but
idea.
The more we learned and the more we researched it, the more excited we got about it. For one thing, this is a third class or class 3 county.
Class 3 county. And we didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
When we first sort of bought it.
Yeah, so we went to this property. No one had ever lived here before. It was the backside of a different farm that got split up. And so since no one had ever lived here, there was no address. And so we went to the courthouse in Ozark County to get our address. Well, one of the things, as we were talking to the county clerk, we were interested in was who we needed to coordinate with in order to get our building permits, and we were wanting to get things going for the house. And so I asked the lady who I needed to talk to get the permits, and she sort of smiled a bit and said, "You need permission to
build your house?"
Build your house? And I said, "Well, yes, ma'am."
Yes, ma'am.
And she said, "Well, you have
permission."
And that was it.
There are no building codes. You don't have to ask for permission to build on your land in this particular square of the country.
Yeah, in this county, the way the Class 3 counties work is unless the people vote in codes and regulations, there aren't any.
Right.
And in Ozark County, none have been voted in. Mm-mm. So we don't have building codes. We don't have building inspectors. We don't have any of that. No land use codes. So we picked the spot that we wanted the house, and we drew the house on a sheet of paper. And
it was a big piece of paper.
Yeah,
I did use a ruler.
Right.
You
did a really good job.
I tried to scale it, with like inches. I did. I tried. Yeah. Hey. It was good enough that the sink and the window matched up.
That's true.
And I at the kitchen sink, and that probably was the one. You really want that to work out.
You do.
Everything else you can kind of fudge with furniture and fixtures.
Yeah.
The sink and the window, it's kind of a big deal because if that's off, man, we're kind of picky, and you got to live with that for the next, I don't know, ever.
Right.
With your sink. That would be bad. Yeah. But it worked out.
It did.
Yeah. Without anybody telling us how to do it, what to do, or where to do it.
Yeah. So we did our own plumbing. We did our own electric.
Yep.
We did it all to a national building code because we wanted it to be that
way. We understand that there's reasons for those codes.
Yeah. So, but no one was coming behind us and checking up.
We didn't have to wait on an inspector.
No, we didn't have to pay for permits.
Right.
So
which actually made us be able to get through things faster.
Yeah, and so I don't know. Rather quickly, I would say our introduction to Ozark County was almost a slap in the face with freedom.
Yeah, it was like, wait, what? Like, we can just do what we want to?
Smack. Wow. Freedom.
From Maryland, which is not like that. Not like that.
No, it's not. And so it was definitely a wake-up call for us. So, our transition to the Ozarks, to Ozark County specifically, was eye-opening and freeing. Yeah,
very freeing. Super great state for school choice freedom. Really easy.
Gracious, we're having...
Wow, that was weird.
Electrical surge.
I guess.
There we go.
We went to blue light, white light. Anyway, so Homeschooling, super easy here. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to report it. You don't have to ask. They really, I mean, I think the only way that they would come and see what you're doing is if someone else kind of sort of turned you in and said, I don't think they are. And then they'd have to prove that you're not.
Right. Homeschooling it's a big deal. Being able to have the freedom to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
We believe that our children's education is our responsibility.
Absolutely.
And, when the laws get in the way of that, it's incongruent.
Yeah.
And so here, it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
That the laws allow for us to be in control of education.
Yeah. Which kind of brings Free Missouri is something that you have sort of, I don't know, coined through your blog.
Yeah.
And the concept of we learned was already there, but we learned about genuine Midwest nice and what that means.
Yeah, we did.
Living here and truly experiencing it firsthand coming from the East Coast. So tell me about some Midwest nice.
Well, yeah, we were talking to some of our friends and saying, everybody here is really nice.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
Everybody.
And it was a stark difference coming from the East Coast, we're in the DC area, so big city, East Coast, where everybody is busy.
They may be nice people somewhere.
Some people are probably not nice, but everybody is busy.
They're so busy.
And so it just, there's a feeling of almost like you're intruding.
Yeah.
Anytime you're interacting
in their way
with someone, the interaction is normally that you're in their way.
Yeah.
And
they're probably in yours.
Yeah, probably. Because you're in a hurry.
You're in a hurry.
Just like everybody else is.
The traffic has already made you late, and you're in a hurry, and the meeting is going to start, and everybody's got a meeting to go to, and they're very important.
Right.
Whether they are or not.
But in that area, a lot of them are.
That's probably true. Yeah, for sure.
And so there's, it was just a stark difference when we got here. And that's everybody from the cashier at whatever store you're going to the bank setting up a bank account for the farm, the accountant. I mean, like everybody. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
The people at the feed store.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't matter. And we were probably 2 weeks into this when finally we were just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like everybody is nice.
They're
and then
so nice.
Our good friends were like, well, yeah, haven't you ever heard of
Midwest nice?
We're like, no.
Not really. We're East Coasters and from Florida. But we have learned, oh my goodness, about the kindness, in this community.
Yeah.
And the willingness of everyone to genuinely look after one another.
Yeah. I think... it is, there's an intrusion into the middle of the nation from the coasts.
There is.
And so
is it an intrusion or an exodus?
Both.
Uh-huh.
It depends on whose perspective you're looking at it from.
Yeah. Well, the people that are here, you're right, feel like it's an intrusion. They're being intruded upon.
As we were introducing ourselves and becoming a part of the community, there's a hesitation there from the folks, and I don't know that it's a wrong hesitation.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them at all. So, from their perspective, I believe there's an intrusion from the coasts to their spot on the globe, and an intrusion into their way of life, and people. Their concern is that people are going to bring that busy, rude,
coastal mentality, city mentality. The thing that they're trying to get out of, that they might bring it with them and put that onto this community.
Yeah,
and want to change it.
Right, and so we were met sometimes with some actual resistance from folks, you're new, aren't you? You're new.
We don't necessarily look new, but
where are you coming from? Oh,
yeah. Oh,
as we would say from DC, we quickly learned to say we're coming from the Air Force.
Yeah, we're coming from 25 years in the military, and they go, "Oh, okay, well, thank you." And
yeah, and so
they respect the military.
We can pretty quickly say we grew up in a very small town in Central Florida, South Central Florida.
Yep.
We spent 25 years in the military, living all over the world. We could have retired to any spot on the globe, and we chose this spot because you are the way that you are.
It is the way that it is.
We want that. That's where we want to spend our life. That's the life we want to have for ourselves.
We want to join you in what you have, not try to change it.
We knew, like, we were surprised by the level of freedom. We knew that it was free.
Yeah.
But we were surprised by how free. We knew that people were nice, but we were surprised by how nice. So, like, the entire thing wasn't shocking to us.
No.
It just, the magnitude, I think, was probably the biggest thing for us. Was not only are they nice, they're really nice. And not only are they nice, but everybody is nice. So
that's true.
I believe that was probably the thing that was shocking to us was just the level of nice, and the level of freedom was beyond what we were expecting.
Yeah. I think that when we were discussing this, stark contrast was one of the, how we described, the difference between being on the East Coast, or it really, honestly, just in the DC area, to here. I mean, it's 180 out in everything.
Yeah. And a piece of that is people understand, I believe that they really understand personal freedoms, and they really respect personal freedoms. And initially I was describing it as you take care of your business, I'll take care of mine. But it really isn't that. It's I am very concerned with you and your well-being.
Yeah.
But I do not want to be in your business.
No, they're going to infringe on your whatever it is that you have going.
But every time we have a storm,
our
neighbors call to check up on us.
Oh, every time. Like if there's one coming, or especially if we've all lost power. Are y'all okay? Do you need something? Do you need water? Most of us are on a well. Do you have a generator? Do you have enough fuel for the generator?
Right.
I thought our neighbor was going to have to come get water from us because we did have the well hooked to the generator, and his cows needed water.
Right. And so I think rather quickly we fell right into that.
Yeah.
That family, that neighborly family feel to the entire community here, especially right around us.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't take long at all for us to fall into that, take care of each other, nurture each other, care for each other. Again, stark contrast from living in a neighborhood in Maryland where we had our long-time friends.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there were people that
know anybody really
lived within 20 feet, 30 feet
that you didn't know.
We had no idea who they were. And here, you may be a mile away, but you're still a close neighbor.
Oh yeah, that's a neighbor.
Yeah,
for sure. Yes, and a lot of people farm here. We're not the only farmers in Missouri, obviously. I mean, but and there's farms everywhere. This country is, littered with farms all the way across from one coast to another. People farm in some way, in most every place. I mean, there were farms in Maryland where we lived.
Yeah,
just
that's true.
Basically in our backyard there were farms. That I don't know that they were regenerative farms. I don't know what kind of farming they were doing. But out here, a lot of people farm. There are some statistics on Missouri farming that we found surprising when we started researching it. They kind of do a lot of farming.
Yeah, as far as the nation is concerned, we've got Missouri is second in the number of farms, second in hay production, third in the beef cow industry, sixth in turkey, sixth in hog, and ninth in broiler chicken.
Yeah, so they make some food here.
Yeah.
I had no idea though, like about the beef cow industry.
Yeah, yeah.
Coming from Florida, there's a lot of cows in Florida, and everybody knows Texas has got a lot.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma.
Right.
But I think Missouri just kind of sits in the middle quietly.
Yeah.
Doing their business.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Third in the
nation. Making a lot of beef, a lot of cow-calf pair operations here.
Yes.
Not a whole lot of regenerative farming. Oh, there are a lot, obviously, some quite famous regenerative farmers in Missouri. But just in this local area right here, there are we know that we've seen some people doing some rotational grazing and stuff. So it's becoming more popular across the board. But not everybody does. A lot of people do a conventional style.
Yeah.
Of cattle raising, which is totally cool. How does that fit in? How do we fit in to this community doing something just a little bit different?
The thing that I've seen is that, as I discussed before, people, just because you're doing it differently, they don't necessarily believe that you're doing it wrong. They don't want you to tell them that they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And so they really don't tell you that you're doing it wrong either.
Right.
Like from what we've seen, people are interested in the way that we're doing things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily how they grew up, how they were raised doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're interested in it. They'll talk about it. All of them will offer advice when asked.
Yeah.
They will talk about how they do it. Yeah. And the fact that they do it differently than you do it is like neither of you is trying to persuade the other. Mm-hmm. It's really more just like you're talking, you're sharing information, you're sharing experiences without trying to convince a person that they're doing it wrong or you're doing it right. Like it's just a different way of doing business.
Well, one thing that we have learned in the short 2 years that we've been here doing this is, we had in mind a set prescription that we were going to do as far as the style of farming that we do and how we were going to do it, how intensive we would do it or not. And we've learned that just because a style of farming works in one location, it might not work that way in your location.
Yeah.
If you're in, let's say, Southeast Georgia, your style of farming may be different than somebody is going to obviously be different than someone who's trying to farm in Colorado where it's a little more arid, or in the Ozarks where it's a lot more rocky. And the soil in this particular area is quite rocky. And there's some topsoil. I mean, it does grow grass. They do get a lot of rain. Most years you get a decent amount, probably over 45 inches of rain a year, which is good for growing grass. But we don't have a whole lot of topsoil. So like these flourishing, grasslands that are in some other areas are not here right now.
Yeah. So the what that meant for us was that over the 2 years we've been having to learn what actually works for the land that we're currently on.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily what you are watching on YouTube or are reading in the books, because those people are doing things that work for the land that they're on. And so, we started in our Ozark experience really wanting to do what was absolutely best for the land and do we set up our rotational grazing program such that it was the best for the pastures, to regenerate the pastures as quickly as we possibly could. And in so doing, we were pushing the animals a little hard. And so from a condition perspective, so what we've learned over the couple of years that we've been doing this is back off a little bit on the pasture regeneration push, focus a little bit more on the animals and the condition, even if that means that that's not the absolute best thing for the pastures. For us, for our farm, we found a better balance right now than we had when we first started.
I think so, yeah. And people here that have lived here for a really long time ever. I mean, a lot of these families here, fifth, sixth generation, running the farms that they have. And they know about this soil. They know about the grass. They know about the problems, whether it be, dust or mud concept, Also, parasites, as far as sheep and cows are concerned, and the ones that will bother them or get them down may not have the same problem in other parts of the country. And so to get information from other YouTube sources from particular parts of the country, that's great, but give ourselves grace and understanding that it might not work exactly the same way, exactly where you are on your piece of soil, and to really give yourself time to work with it and adjust to what is working for the animals and the land, and to listen to the people who know about it. And we've really come to appreciate the wisdom of the local people.
Yeah. So a particular event, we were out of town. We had left the farm for the day, and we had one of our cows get down on one of the hills, got turned in the wrong direction, and was stuck.
Yeah.
And could not get up. And we were states away.
Yeah.
And we had somebody watching the farm, and we got a frantic phone call saying, we got a cow down and can't get it back up.
Right.
We immediately called our neighbor
mm-hmm.
who was on his tractor mowing his fields, and first off, he answered the phone, which was awesome because he was working.
Yeah.
And we sort of frantically asked for help. He
mm-hmm.
immediately stopped what he was doing, got in his truck, came over, and got the cow turned around, helped get her standing up, waited around, made sure that she was okay. Like,
mm-hmm.
really, it was it just solidified, I think, for us that neighborly feel. It's not just words. It's not just, hey, how you doing?
Lip service.
It's not lip service. It's actually, I will stop what I am doing that is important to my farm, and I will come help you and what's needed on your farm. It was a really cool experience for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Mr. Brad.
Yeah.
And he knows cows, and that is a tool in our toolkit to have somebody who's been, a cattleman for a lot of years just down the road. So us being inexperienced can ask, and, if we've got questions or just need to, I don't know, run stuff by him. He's always so generous to listen and help us.
Yeah, and that's one of the things for us that's been a bit of a I don't know that you
challenge.
would call it a learning. It's more of a challenge.
It's a challenge.
Is that especially being in the military and moving all over the world for 25 years, you really have to learn to rely on yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're most likely going to leave your friends at your last place, mm-hmm. and you're going to go to a new place, and there might not be anybody. And although they try to provide sponsors, that the Air Force tries to provide sponsors and stuff that will help you get started and settled, that didn't always work out. And so fairly quickly we learned that you really, really better take care of yourself. You really have to rely on yourself. You better get yourself ready. Yeah. You better, it's a whole lot of us.
Yeah.
And
you need to be independent and can figure this thing out.
You better be, we've called ourselves staunchly independent, right?
Yeah.
Like we got to the point where it's, no, we don't need a sponsor. Thank you.
Yeah. Please just save their time.
Yeah. Save their time. We're fine.
Yeah.
And so, but coming here, we really do need the community.
Oh yeah. Well, we live so far out, and we'll get to that in another podcast, being rural and what that means. But we do need the community. We got a lot going on here, and having the, not just the wisdom, but just the heart, of the people.
Yeah.
is.
And for us, the ability to say yes when assistance is offered.
Yeah.
Our
Our go-to answer is going to be, we're good.
Everything in our being says, take care of yourself. And here, with what we're doing and with where we are, that's not the answer.
No.
And so it has been an interesting transition for us, I believe, to say yes.
Yeah, for help. Yeah, help is okay.
Can I help you? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you need a place to stay? There's a bad storm coming and you don't have a storm shelter. Yes.
Now, and in all fairness, like, the military community is a super tight-knit community, and we have amazing friends that we have lived all over the world with and around, and, really, really, really good friends, family friends. And we all take care of each other, and we were able to make those friends pretty early on. And we were fortunate enough that a lot of the bases that we went to, they were there, or were going to be there, or were there when we got there. And so that was super helpful. And the camaraderie especially within the Air Force is valuable. It's high, but you do just have to be able. You don't always have to, but you have to be able to take care of yourselves when needed.
Yeah.
But I mean, our friends, we're all very, very used to helping each other out, whatever the thing is. So we're used to that, and we're very, very much giving and generous and help and load people's trailers and it doesn't matter what the call is. We're service-minded people. We step up. And so do our friends, because that's how we all do, tight friends, not strangers. Because, I think it's important to note that what we're talking about, these are not lifelong friends who we come to each other's rescue. These are relative strangers when all of this sort of happened.
Yeah.
Storms are coming and we're living in an RV and they're calling to check on us.
Right.
They don't know us they really don't know us.
Yeah.
Really at all.
Yeah.
That was when it made the difference.
That's right.
I think it's important to know that we're talking about people that don't know us.
Right.
So that, just it's super cool, and humbling ourselves to receive help when help is really needed.
Yeah.
And be okay with that.
Yeah.
So it's been a challenge, but we're doing better at that. I think. We're good. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, anyways.
So life in the Ozarks.
Yeah. Life in the Ozarks.
Love it.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
Undulating hills, great roads that kind of wind, motorcycle type roads that are fun. Nice people. Weather's good most of the time, or it's temperate enough.
Yeah, there are some extremes, but really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say overall we love it.
Yes, we do. We do love it. Absolutely. I think that covers the Ozarks and all of our neighbors and friends and influences that we've had over the past 2 years, and looking forward to many, many more years. Making new friends currently. We'll talk about more about those people later, but a lot of like-minded people out here.
So, Dust or Mud podcast, food, freedom, farming.
Yeah.
Current event for you today is farming.
Okay.
All right.
Farming.
Okay. I was looking through and found a couple of articles that I found really interesting. So this one was end of July of 2023. It was USDA breaks down farm expenses. As farmers know, production costs were higher in 2022. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Livestock farms saw expenses increase 18.1% in 2022. Feed topped the expenses.
They didn't even ask us.
No,
they
they didn't. Maybe they just checked our bank.
Maybe they did.
Right?
They probably did.
The average expense for a livestock farm in 2022 was $200,359. average expense for a livestock farm. So that made me go digging a little bit more.
Wow.
And I found a USDA 2023 farm sector income forecast from February of 2023. And
good news, I'm sure.
Well,
all around.
If today's negative day. So,
okay.
Farm sector income is forecast to fall in 2023.
Cool.
Net farm income is forecast to decrease by 15.9%. If you adjust that for inflation, the expected decrease is
a lot.
18.2%.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
And 22.9% compared with the previous year. So expected, close to a quarter.
So we're going to be broke.
Of the percent decrease in income. And, that it's not cumulative with the increasing expenses. The increasing expenses are a part of the decrease in net.
Yeah.
So falling animal and animal product forecasts also for 2023. Declining receipts are forecast for milk, hogs, broilers, and chicken eggs.
Every single thing that's outside these walls?
No. Cattle receipts are forecast to increase.
Oh, good.
Right.
Oh.
So milk receipts are expected to decrease 14.6%. Hogs are forecast to decline 2.7%.
Are people did they stop eating?
No. Higher prices for cattle and calves, 2.4%.
Oh.
Broilers are expected to fall 7.4%. Chicken egg receipts are forecast to fall 24%. And so that's where your forecast on your animal production.
But anyone, okay, so we got into farming, kind of like people in 07 when they got into construction.
Yeah.
Anybody want to buy a farm?
No, not for sale.
It's not for sale. But in animals, eggs.
No. So in February the expenses were expected to increase by 4.1% from 2022, but it looks like
it's more.
Yeah. So in 2022 it went up 18.1% over the previous year.
I got to tell y'all right now, I don't even
another 4%.
I don't know how we're going to eat.
When adjusted for inflation, feed expense levels remain high. Fertilizer, lime, soil conditioner expenses are the second largest category, expected to remain high. Interest expenses are forecast to be high.
Well, yeah, because everybody's got, the majority of the farms, I believe, are leveraged against their land.
Right.
Their assets.
Livestock and poultry expenses. So the initial report was that they were up 18%. 18.1% over 2022. And then livestock and poultry expenses this year are expected to rise another 13.6%. Yeah. So anyway.
The lights are on the fritz.
Yeah, seems that way. So there's our current event. Oh, and I found one back from 2018, and from what I can tell, it has gotten worse since then. But in 2018, average farm debt rises over $1.3 million per farm.
We're not that, y'all. No, those are the big guys out there growing row crops. A lot of them. I mean,
farms with sales less than $100,000 had a debt to asset ratio of just under 3%.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So the small farms are less burdened with the debt.
Yeah,
Well,
meaning
they don't have as much to leverage.
They probably own their farm.
Yeah.
It's typically a generational thing.
Oh, okay.
They don't have debt. They don't have a mortgage on the farm. And so that farm, because farm land prices have increased substantially lately, that shows as an asset. It has nothing really to do with operating costs and expenses and income. It just has to do with the assets, of which the land is typically the greatest.
Okay. But, and I understand, good debt and using other people's money to make money and all that. And I get that. It's fine. But the problem to me is going to be the supply and the cost of it once it's out there in the supply.
Yeah.
That's right?
What do you mean?
Well, if expenses are up.
Yes.
So they're costing more to make.
Yep.
They should cost more to buy.
That it should.
Right?
Right. You would expect a price increase of the end product subsequent to the increase. In the
farmers are not making as much money because the expenses are up. What's going to keep them doing it? That's my first question. Why would people stay in it? Yeah. I know they love it, but the love of something doesn't carry you far enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
Whenever you're saddled with not being able to service your debts.
Yeah.
So they're not making as much. They're not going to, if they can't service their debts, that's a problem, obviously. It's costing more to make it. But the real problem is that people have come to expect cheap and easy food.
Yes.
And if you're making food at a certain price point, even if it's cheap food, then I think the fact that food isn't cheap, and you can't, farmers don't work for free.
Well, here's something to consider. There's a wild card that I'll throw in, a joker.
Okay.
Joker's wild. The Dairy Margin Coverage Program is forecast to make $285 million in payments in 2023, up 122% from 2022 because of a drop in milk prices. So the government is going to...
so they're going to subsidize it with taxpayer dollars. So you're paying for your milk one way or another.
Yes.
Or you're paying for someone else's milk one way or the other.
Correct.
Okay.
But not to the small farmer.
No, you've got to be big enough.
We're not a dairy.
No, that'll just, you don't qualify for it. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't forget the wild card of government subsidies.
Oh, yeah. The big farms are too big to fail. So in my opinion, the thing that's going to happen is whenever all of the proverbial poo hits the fan, then the only thing left to do is that they are so big, the government will bail them out.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's we looked at this week.
Anybody want to buy some things? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I love it too much.
It's just a hard look at reality.
It is.
It's can we still make a go at this knowing that it's going to cost more to do it and you're going to get less out of it in the end? Right? And so is it
worth it?
Is it worth it? It's a hard look for us.
But here's my thing.
But we sat down this week and we started looking at every one of the animals. We said,
well, we're still looking at them.
What does it cost?
Yeah.
What's your feed cost?
A lot.
What is your potential income to the farm?
Yeah.
Each enterprise, each animal enterprise.
Yeah.
Right now, the one thing we know is we are losing money on the layer enterprise.
Yes.
They're not coming close.
No.
Because we were just in the grocery store today. A dozen eggs at the grocery store
they came down
$1.50.
Yeah. I wonder what happened there. How'd they get them back down? There goes that fly.
I think after they killed a bunch of the the chickens earlier in the year.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the replacements are back laying again,
Oh, okay.
or are now in place and laying.
Oh,
So anyway, but egg prices down to $1.50 a dozen.
yeah,
We're charging $4 a dozen for our eggs
that's
because
right.
they are raised on pasture-fed, GMO-free food, and they are not coming close to covering the cost of their feed.
Nope. So
So
we have decisions to make there.
hard look at, you know, we're already almost 3 times the cost of eggs that you can buy in a grocery
Yeah,
store.
we can't go any higher.
We need to go
Here.
higher because our feed prices, as we just talked about, our feed prices are higher.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to go higher on the cost or the price of the eggs,
Mm-hmm.
but we're already almost 3 times as high as the grocery store.
Yeah.
And so it's at some point, it becomes, from a business perspective, whether or not you like eggs, from a business perspective, it becomes that is a money losing perspective. And because we're not in the business of losing money,
Right.
that might be an enterprise that gets a big red X through it in the near future, because I don't see how we pull that one out from red to black.
I don't either.
Just because no one, like it, you know, I don't. I'm not even sure what we would have to ask. One of the things we need to sit down and look at is, what would it cost for a dozen GMO-free fed, free-range eggs coming from our farm?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh gosh.
You know, in
$12
order to,
a dozen.
well, it might be, right. And then at that point, and again, we're sort of, I don't know, we're talking through our
Spitballing.
finances
Yeah.
on air, but
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
like we need to look at it.
Yeah.
That's one that I don't know how much longer it goes. It might be the, you know, they get a little bit of GMO-free scratch and forage. And
Oh yeah, and lots of
fact,
pasture. Go get a worm.
the
Go fetch a
fact
worm.
that we don't get a whole lot of eggs out of it means that we don't sell a whole lot, but it also doesn't cost us a whole lot. So, you know, it might be, from a business perspective, the egg enterprise goes away.
Yeah.
So those are the
Yeah.
types of hard looks that we're doing, you know, from a farming business perspective, with the knowledge that we just talked about of input prices going
Okay,
up.
so hypothetically, you know, all of the, you know, you're going to expense people out of farming. But it's food. People have to eat. What are we going to do? Are we going to have a food shortage? I mean, what are we going to do in this country specifically to make sure that there's enough food, good food even, for people to eat, if the expenses are such that, and that's the whole economic problem right now. The expenses are going up, the wages are not going up, so people can't buy the things that they need. I know everyone is struggling at the grocery store. Everyone is struggling to make ends meet at the grocery store. And I don't know if the farming...
I don't think that the government, from the government perspective, I don't know that it's changed since their crusades of get big or get out as far as farming is concerned.
No.
So I don't think, from a government perspective, now there are some little programs that you can get, but like overall, from a big government perspective, I don't think that there's a whole lot of concern for the small farmer.
Mm-mm.
So the fact that the small farmer is not going to be able to stay in business, I don't think is a big deal.
Right.
It's a small deal. So the mentality is still, we have to take care of the big farms. The fact that you produce 2 dozen or 3 dozen eggs a day really doesn't matter. You know, I've been to layer facilities with 1.2 million birds that are producing 1 million eggs a day.
Yep.
So, you know, we're producing 30 eggs a day.
Well, eggs are not our business.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
Let's be fair.
No, but you're asking about food and how people are going to get food. It's from the government perspective.
But did the prices not go up for the The big people? Or is it only for the little people?
No, the prices went up for everybody. They did.
Okay.
But as we talked about,
we'll just subsidize them.
Exactly.
So you have, I guess, in the farming industry, I'll just throw it out there, you'll have public-private partner corporation or partnerships in the farming industry. Mm-hmm. And we all know where that leads. Well, some of us know where that leads.
I don't know. I don't know if that's...
I mean, if they're being, a lot of the industries are already being subsidized. So it is already a bit of a public-private partnership between the government / taxpayers and the growers.
Yeah.
If you stretch it out into the food that's not just corn or soy based or sugar based stuff, if you actually break it down into actual edible things, eggs, the dairy industry just did it, or the government just did it for the dairy industry. That's actual food that can be consumed by people. Then if they're going to start subsidizing the big guys, that completely pushes out, because even the middle guys can't do anything, never mind the small guys. The middle guys are going to be pushed completely out, which has been happening for a long time in the dairy industry. No new news there. But across the board, eggs, chicken, beef, turkey, whatever the actual edible food is. So we just subsidize all of the growers across the board and push everybody else out. The government pays them to grow food. The end?
Yes.
Okay.
It would seem.
Okay. I'm just trying to, make sure I'm clear on where we're headed in the food industry. I just like to make it clear to everybody where we're headed in the food industry. Yeah. It's going to be government subsidized food that you're eating. Yeah. You won't have to stand in a line for it. It'll already be subsidized by the taxpayers. You go get it at the grocery store, it's still cheap. But it is a public-private. And in case you're not understanding public-private, what I'm trying to say is it's a socialist business relationship. At least that's my understanding of it. and I'm opposed. Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I
mean, that's the only direction this can go without major change somewhere along the path.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think, again, you've mentioned it a few times. To me, it boils back down to food is expensive to make.
Yes, it is. Now that's a fact.
Good food is really expensive to make.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of hard work.
Yes.
And as long as there's an artificial sense that food is cheap, then I think the scenario that you painted is probably the future.
Well, yeah, if you couple with the artificial sense of food being cheap with a very entitlement-driven society that we have become, that seems the only path.
Yeah, I would say the glimmer of hope for us.
Okay, cool. I appreciate your turn on that.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hope.
The glimmer of hope for us is, I believe there are a growing number of people who are interested in good food.
I agree.
And the growing number of people that are interested in good food generally have an understanding that good food is not cheap, and it's probably not going to come from the large container stores.
Agree.
Good food.
Right.
Those people are looking to their local farmers for good food.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hope, that's the salvation for the local farmer, is that growing number of people who want good food and understand that it's not cheap and are willing to support a local farmer in order to get that.
Yeah.
And so
I think you're right. Okay.
As we wrap it up, from a business perspective, understanding that the forecast is dire, we believe that we have a niche in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And the niche is not, can I provide crap food cheaper than a large store?
No, for a little guy, a race to the bottom is death.
Right.
I mean, you end.
And so that's not our market.
No,
our market is not to compete with the local large stores.
No, you can't.
Our market is
niche.
Can we find enough people who are interested in really good food
in our local area?
That makes it such that we can sustain a business.
Yeah, you're right.
And from what we've seen over the 2 whole years we've been doing this, is that I believe the answer is yes.
I believe so too. I do. Yeah. People being willing, and we've seen it because you watch them very carefully decide what they're going to do with their dollar, being willing, like we are, to put a larger percentage of their available funds towards good food over some other want or pleasure.
Yes.
Putting their food, their grocery budget at the top.
Yeah.
Rather than at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very humbling, and it's very cool to feel. Humbling is really the word, to watch someone part with their money for your product.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yep. Yeah, it certainly makes you
grateful.
Yeah.
Grateful, yes, and willing to just keep getting out there and doing it so that you can get good food in their freezer.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a battle. It's a war almost. Not really a war, but almost. Can I get this into their freezer? I'm not looking to make millions of dollars. I just want you to have good food.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And pay the bills.
Right.
At least the farm bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Well, we'll just keep plugging away at it and keep crunching our numbers, and I'm sure more will be shared over time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. So what are we going to talk about next week? Episode 6.
Episode 6, I believe we're going to talk about the fact that our beef eats grass.
That's going to be, y'all, it's going to be spectacular. Because our cows, they eat grass.
Right.
As opposed to other cows that eat grass.
Well, you can't give away the whole episode.
Oh. Now we can take Tuesday off. Cows eat grass.
That's right.
Oh, okay. No, that'll be fun. Yeah. Our cows do eat grass. Nothing else.
Yeah, we'll talk through the beef aspect of the farm next week.
Good.
And look at the cows. What are we doing with them?
Yeah.
Look through rotational grazing. What's that doing with them? We talked a little bit about it today. We'll talk more about it next week.
Okay.
What's the difference in what we do and a cow-calf pair? What does that even mean?
Right.
Yeah. So we'll look all about beef next week.
Okay. Fun. All right. Well, thank you for listening and watching. And if you've enjoyed it, please make sure that you subscribe, follow, like on your streaming service.
Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
And please leave a comment.
Please leave a comment. Absolutely. We love the comments coming. I had some really good ones this week, and look forward to hearing from you guys. Till next week, you guys take care.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.